that?
Wow, that was abrupt.
Was that weird?
That was abrupt. And stop.
Yeah, the video is a little choppy. I don't know if it's choppy on your end, but welcome back to Good with the Programming. I'm Chase Ingram.
I'm Captain America.
And along with me is Bill Grundler. Wolverine. And we're talking all about the Crash Crucible 2024.
Yes. Yeah, Vindicate, I'll see you there, dude.
The fifth one. Yeah. Well, right off the bat, Bill will be in attendance in person. I think Pedro will be there in person. I don't know how his wife was like, you can go to SoCal and
Turn
then
right back around
for a high five, and then you can go.
Seriously. I wonder
Down to
I wonder if
Crash.
she's like, hey, you know what? You lost your computer. It got busted. Why don't you just go?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I'm
Oh,
stoked.
Vindicate, you'll be. Travis will be there. All right.
Yeah.
Sweet. I'm jealous.
Oh man, dude, I'm so excited. I mean, the event will be fun. I am so excited to just be with everyone. Like I've never met John in person.
I was gonna say, how many of those guys have you met in person?
I've met Taylor. I've met Tyler, obviously. JR, no.
Okay.
John, no. Met Bryson.
When?
He was at NCC.
Oh, that's right. I forgot those guys were there.
Yeah. But I'm so stoked. I'm so stoked.
Yeah.
Just be able to hang out, just to hang out with. I mean, everyone's schedules are so wacky, and everyone has their other worlds, and then we have this world here. And I know my schedule is like to the minute.
Yeah, your schedule
most of the time. So if I get the chance to hang out with the group like that, I'm just fired up about it. And it worked great with the schedule, and
that's awesome.
Sevan asked me if I could do it. I'm like, hell yeah! So I'm fired up.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, you guys are a couple minutes late. I'm like, the fact that we got to show off at all.
Relax, CrossFit.
Yeah, and yes, Pedro will be there. Yeah, the whole gang will be there. Sevan won't be there in person. He'll be running the live coverage, and so this is just a preview show.
Yeah,
we know Sevan did one. We want to just give our love for the event and talk all things about Crash Crucible. And while we're on the topic, the coverage that they've done in the past. They did it 1 or 2 years. I know last year was the big kind of like, all right, we're going for it.
I think it's only the
last year is the first.
I think it was last year. Yeah.
Okay. So the coverage will be on the Sevan podcast.
Yep.
But you will be on the broadcast.
Yeah.
Stream with John Young.
Yeah.
I really hope you guys just like couch call the whole thing.
I don't think it could be any other way. And I say that because John, like, we know how we've done it, and understanding the positions and understanding the roles and all that of the normal kind of a broadcast coverage.
But it's not
coverage.
one, which I think is
it's
kind of
not
the coolest part, right?
So that is, I think, like that will be very easy and best for John, obviously, because that's the role he knows. And I mean, I can't wait. It's going to be so fun. It's going to be so fun.
Do you, I don't even know the times at which, but it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
And will you come on and off per event?
Yeah. I think
you come on for an event and then maybe some mid show in between events.
Right. I think Sevan wanted to do like a before the show starts, before the event starts. JR was talking, I think he wanted like top 2 heats of the elite men and women, and he was asking about something for the Masters too. And I just told him I could do whatever you want, man. Like I'm there to hang out and talk. So if you want us,
I'm here to do what I love to do. So if you want me to do more of it,
I mean, cool. What's really strange though is the whole group keeps talking about like working out, and I'm like, dude, you know how like we don't go to events and work out.
I get less fit at the CrossFit Games.
100%. Like I'm good, man. Like I don't need to come here and feel. I'm watching everyone work out and be like, oh, man, I'm all this FOMO that I don't get to wear. I don't really feel that. Maybe it's because I'm older. I don't know.
think that's a young young guy thing.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean,
And not just like young in age, but like young to CrossFit.
kind of. But, yeah, but JR's been around a long time. He's like, hey, Bill, when you get here on Thursday, we're going to do a high rocks. I'm like, well, I don't get there until 10:30 at night. So I'm not doing a high rocks.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't do it anyway. But, and John's like, we're going to do this event in the morning. And we'll do that one. And I'm like,
I love that.
ah,
I'm like, great.
that means I got to bring shit. I got to bring like my grips and stuff. Like, what the heck?
He's like, I have a backpack. Okay. The exact number of items of clothing that I will need.
Yeah.
And something for the flight home. And that's it.
It's funny.
That is funny.
I think, but I go, hey man, whatever you guys want to
Remember
do.
Dylan used to be like that? Malitsky?
Oh, dude, him and Larry. At the
Hey,
end,
the
second the event was done, boom, they were in the warm-up area doing some workout.
Yeah. Now I got workout bullied into it a few times, but that was usually from like Boz and Chuck.
Right.
Like Boz and Chuck can bully me into it. Hey, we're all doing this. Or they used to do the competitions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But, yeah,
like,
that's
hey,
right. Regional to regional team.
Regional judges team would compete against other regional judges team. They're like, hey, we need your scores.
Yeah.
Like, right. Back when our scores were useful.
I remember I did a couple with you. There was a Central East that we did. We were doing some snatch workout or something. Remember how like the warm-up area was kind of far from like the actual.
Yeah.
We were doing something there. I remember Dylan and Larry were doing something there too. And then we got, I think we did a dumbbell snatch one. I
was going to say the dumbbell snatch burpee one.
With no fucking warm-up per usual. I'm like, okay, here we go. 80 pounds. We're just,
I remember.
What the hell are we doing?
I know. Halfway through, because I think I dragged you as I was getting dragged in. I was like, come on, bro. And like halfway through, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I made you do this. Okay, so coverage, Sevan Podcast, all 3 days. I think it's going to be awesome. I love that you're there in person. I love that John's there. You got to tell John to get in while he can, because isn't like baby time coming up for John?
Dude, he has no idea what he's in for.
He has no idea.
He has no idea. It's like, oh, it'll be great. I'll still be able to work out. I'll be on every podcast there is in the space. No, you won't.
Yeah,
bro.
Yeah.
No, you
or
won't.
You will, and you'll be divorced, single dad in like 3 months.
Yeah, totally.
Real Matthew, Chuck was my level 1 instructor. Chuck was also my level 1 instructor.
Oh man, that's cool.
I think usually every time it brings up, we ask people who their level 1 instructor is, but that's great. We're going to get into the events as well. This is not this isn't an analyzing show. This is a preview show. So as the events come up, we'll just give our feelings of what we think it'll unveil, maybe cruxes of the workout, linchpins of the workout, and then we'll look at the athletes that'll be competing, which is, it is a good list. This is a good stack of just athletes in the field for both men and women. Maybe more women than the men.
I think
respect to the men.
No, I don't think it's being disrespectful to the men at all. I think the men, at least the last couple of years were the showcase, but the level of athletes that have now come up depth wise on the women's side is nuts. Now both sides of the field are packed, man. Like it's solid all the way through. And what I really like about it is, we were talking about this on Sevan's show the other day. Like what is the Crash? Like what is it in the space now? You have like what Dubai is, and all these other things, and what is it in the off season?
Great question.
And a lot of them were saying like this is the proving ground, and I like that. I don't like when I see proving ground, I see a bunch of underlings, and it's like, who's going to be the one that rises to the top. And I don't see this as a bunch of underlings necessarily. We have games athletes that are in there. We have high-end semifinals athletes that are there. We have some perennial athletes that are in there. What I like about it really is the way that JR programs is he programs events that you would not normally do in your normal gym. So it's semifinal level athletes, but not semi-style events. It's more games style events. They're different. They're off the cuff. They're more unique. They're items and movements that you probably haven't done or haven't done very often. First of all, there's creativity to it in uniqueness that you would see like at the game. So it's a games test in a very intimate and I mean in all reality, it's a safe intimate space for these athletes to get after it. Look where we are in the season.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys aren't trained up for it.
No.
It's very early in the season, but you get to line up against some good people, like doing some things that you wouldn't normally do. And I think that I mean, if you want to be a games athlete, you have to know where that is, not just to make it to the games,
right?
But what are you going to do in the games? Everyone can do thrusters and burpees, and JR always comes up with some weird little twisty things.
Yeah, I don't think he has in the past, like the hurdles on a handstand walk,
right?
The floating pull-up bar for the toes to bar, things like that. For this year, and we'll get in the programming here in a second, is I don't think he has any of that this year intentionally to throw people off in a caster-like fashion. What I like about Crash is more. It's not a lot of these off-season competitions like the big ones, right? Wadapalooza, Dubai, Madrid. Just pick your massive one. Is like they're trying to be big.
Right.
Like Northern California Classic is trying to be big. They're trying to be old school, but they still want to be big. And what I see from JR is like, listen, it's in my affiliate. I've got all the equipment. I've got the space. And I just want to run a great, high quality, just good event. And it's good for the athletes to be tested. There's also a great prize purse for an event like this in the off season. And there's just a level of professionalism there where, and I think it's the same way JR runs his affiliate, is that it's just quality.
Yeah.
Quality, first class, everything's on time, the judging's on point, the programming is fantastic. And it's just one of those things where, as an athlete, a lot of times when I think you go to these big events, like, oh, what's the programming going to be? What's the schedule going to be? What's the weather going to be? How's the judging going to be? And there's all those questions and concerns, I think, in any big major competition. And I would say none of those are the question where they can come comfortably and compete. And that is the only thing that really their focus and attention or concerns are on.
100%. Yeah. I mean, it is a great.
I don't think JR wants to be big.
No.
I think he wants to be great.
No, I mean, dude, when we're on our threads, the three of us, like it's literally three nerds talking about numbers. You know what I mean? Like it is pocket protectors and pens and the protractors and
somebody was all in that chat. They're like, "You are the biggest orcs." Will you talk about something
right
else?
But because of that, that's where I think, like, in his, and I think that we're the same way. When we get into our art process, that's all we're focused on. We want the art. We want that product. We want that workout. We want that sculpture to look a certain way. We're not trying. We don't care about the festival. We're not showmen for that.
Yeah.
We're artists and doing our creativity on this one thing. And so with JR, those are like, I never have to think with when he's putting something together that, like, okay, did he think about what sort of how many hinging movements he had, and is he moving in his horizontal plane of flexion or whatever he's always looking at
horizontal displacement.
He always, I mean, if you're wondering, when we look at all these other events that we talk about, like, well, did they look at this or did they look at that? He definitely looked at all that. What he didn't look at was, okay, do we have a large enough vendor village so that we can support all of it? And do we have the right DJ that's going to put this in? Do we have this that's not his forte. His forte is, I want to put together a program and I want to have some good athletes get after it. And that's what he did. He's not worried about big. The platform that, especially that we all have together, allows for, he's going to get a shit ton of eyes on his very intimate 6-person heat event.
Right.
6 people in a heat, dude.
Yeah. He's also not afraid to try new things.
No,
which
at
I
all.
respect too, because he'll say is like, listen, I know this might not be the balanced back-to-back thing, but I just wanted to throw this in there for fun and just throw people for a loop. And one of those things in particular is the way he scores it.
Oh man. Yeah.
Like working with Tyler and leaning on a different type of scoring system where it's a performance-based scoring system.
Yeah.
Which you can do because, we're not giving $100,000 to the winner or we're not this like massive comp. Like it's just like, hey, look, this is, you said a good thing about testing grounds mixed with proving grounds, which is a great, just like off-season fun opportunity to put yourself out there. Because a lot of times, you and I were like this when we were competing. It's like, we didn't compete there. First of all, there was no money out there for any competition, right? It was like, we did a t-shirt and maybe some type of trophy and envelope of $300, which you're like, I'm the richest man. I'm a professional athlete now. And the opportunities there was like, we just loved competing and we just wanted to make sure that when we were doing it, that we were competing at an event that took all of these things as serious as we did so that we didn't have to be serious while we're competing.
Yeah. You want to be able to go and just get after it, not worried about anything. And I think the fact that it's in his gym, the fact that he's a gym owner, so he understands that classes need to be on time and all that kind of stuff. The fact that he is a programming geek like we are, the fact that numbers matter to him, the fact that there isn't anything that he would put down on paper or have people do that he himself or didn't have high-level people test to the utmost to find out exactly what it needs to be so that someone can go, well, everyone, this wasn't at all what it was supposed to be. He's like, no, that was exactly what I wanted it to be. Just like that. Outliers, whatever. But he's not going to let those things go unwatched so that the athletes can just kind of come in and go. They don't have to worry about it. They just come in. There's no crazy crowds. You don't have to worry about it. Just come in and get after it.
Yep. I like it. Okay, let's go through some of the events. Yeah. I'll try to get these in order. Let's see. Okay, event number 1. This is when you get his event names, which I'm all for.
Yeah.
Dumb standard, 3 rounds for time, 10 dumbbell clean and jerks at 170, and it's just 1 dumbbell.
Yep.
10 ring muscle ups, 10 dumbbell snatches with the same weight. Rest 1 minute between rounds. Your score is the cumulative time it takes you to finish this. I feel like let's just say analyze or preview this with top 5 finish in mind. Not even win, but anyone in that top 5 is muscle ups, no problem.
Right.
None. Even for the women, there may be 1 break, but everyone there will be in the same boat, is what I'm saying. Whether it's unbroken or a 6-4, that dumbbell is going to force people to do things that they don't want to do for fear of interfering with maybe what those muscle up sets would look like.
And I think that the scariest part of this entire event is the 1 minute rest. Because whether you want to or not, whether you think like, oh, great, I get the rest. No, what happens is you get the rest. And now you can go a little bit faster when you get back to the dumbbell again.
Right.
And having that little bit of energy is going to, dude, it is gonna pull people. I think honestly that there are going to be some epic fails on the snatches. Epic.
Oh, yeah.
And because here's what I think there will be. People will think that they're going to be strategic, taking a break on the clean jerk. I think on the first round, everyone's just going to go for it. Then they're going to realize like, oh shit, okay, the 1 minute rest wasn't really enough for me to be able to sustain that. So I think the emphasis people are going to be doing is trying to keep the muscle ups as unbroken as possible, because it's faster to take a break on a dumbbell than it is to take a break on the muscle up.
True.
And so I think that that's where people are going to try to lean into the unbroken element. But the snatch, knowing that you're coming into your 1 minute rest, knowing that you just went unbroken on the muscle ups, I just think that like there's going to be some wobbles
Oh
on,
yeah.
on
Yeah,
the
that's a good point.
snatch. You know what I mean?
I
So-
think that third round of dumbbell clean and jerks, because for me, a dumbbell snatch is easier to control than a ground to shoulder to overhead with a clean and jerk. I have more problems with that than I do a dumbbell snatch, because it's just a one timer all the way through. I pull it through a little bit of a press out, lockout overhead, but to get that dumbbell to the shoulder in control and then to push jerk that back over my head is tough.
Well, and that jerk, dude, what do we say about the rings all the time? Like, it's the press.
Right.
So depending how you are in round 3 on the press of that dumbbell, and okay, look, for your top 5 athletes in there, men and the women, that weight is not going to be destructive. I mean, they can move that weight. It's the speed at which they're moving that
it's
weight
the intensity of this
going into the muscle ups.
And you nailed it with the minute rest. The minute rest forces you to be more intense,
right?
Because everyone's going to be able to, quote, recover or take a break between rounds. If this was 3 rounds for time, there's a lot more cat and mouse going on. Maybe not too hard. It's like, nope, sorry, the minute rest makes this so much worse.
I think honestly, if it was
better, I should say.
If it was 3 rounds for time straight through, or even if it was 30-30-30, like the pacing would be so different. But that breaking it up like that with the rest in there, you really don't have a choice but to really put the pedal down,
which is great.
That's great.
So,
and that's the thing. He knew exactly what that, like, he saw. This is what's great is he thinks like we do. Where's the trap? He's like, I'm going to put it in there. Everyone's going to, okay, sweet, rest. Shit, rest.
Yeah. Like if you know this, you're like, damn it.
Right.
So I like this. So yes, I think the clean and jerks will cause more of a problem of execution, and the snatches will just be a fatigue element.
Yeah,
you have to.
I just think that they'll just be wobbly.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
All right, event 2, midline sadness. Great. 6 rounds for time. 12-9 Cal ski erg between men and women. 12-meter handstand walk. 12 med ball GHD sit-ups with a 20 and 14-pound ball, and then a 12-meter handstand walk. The handstand walks must be done unbroken, which 12 meters is pushing about 30 feet.
Yeah, and I think he said it's actually 40, but he put 12 on there because he couldn't handle the numbers.
Oh, fair. All right. All right. Even better. Even better. Although you could have wrote 1240, but I get it. You're all right, JR. This one is going to surprise. So remember we talked about this at the Masters Games event that had a 12-foot maybe or a 20-foot handstand walk between rope climbs.
Oh, and the dumbbell.
Sandbag cleans.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And the walk was just destroying everyone. And it was 20 feet, half the distance of what this could potentially be. 4 less rounds. Ski erg of that pulled down, all triceps and anterior core. Then you got to walk on your hands, fatigued, in an element that you probably thought it was a push-pull. Then you come to the GHD sit-ups. It's the same movement.
Same movement.
It's the same movement. You're just like horizontal
right.
versus vertical. And so now your core is taxed even more on the interior side. And you're getting no break with your lats and triceps as you pull the ball over your head into it. And then you got to go back to the handstand walk 6 times. Like, if you don't have your handstand walks in order, either from a execution standpoint or skill, more so with the confidence that you can do it unbroken, you are going to be left in the dust.
Dude, 480 feet of handstand walking.
It's so much.
Like you're racing 480 feet of handstand walking.
Yeah.
Like it was really interesting when we were talking about this one with like JR and John and trying to figure out like who this would be good for. And, we're talking about like, well, there's a machine in there and, the GHD and, the range of motion athletes. And it's like, dude, this is handstand walking.
Handstand walking.
All it is fatigued handstand walking. So John brought up a good point. It's not apples to apples necessarily, but if you look at the semi-event, the rowing and the handstand walking, it was like, who has that sort of prowess, who has that sort of capacity?
And you can offset one or the other if you are highly specialized in one to make up for maybe what you, if you're highly specialized in one, you probably lack in the other and vice versa.
Yeah.
But then what we saw is those that had both just
crushed people. So, and I think it's, I just don't think that people look at the ski erg and think midline and look at the GHD. Okay. But it's so funny that with the med ball being in there, like there's no one that's going to, no one that should anyway, keep the med ball like in a locked out position as you do the whole sit up. So you have the extended lever and the weight on, like everyone's going to move the ball up first to the stomach and then sit up.
Right.
That's what you're going to do.
Right.
And that moving the ball from overhead to the midline is your ski erg. It's the exact same thing. So
yeah, I like that.
It's really, this one's sneaky, but I mean, but it all comes down to the handstand walk. And I like that, what JR has done. We've seen him go, all the way to hurdle walking with the handstand walking.
Yes.
To, okay, we don't need to have it. We're just going to go with that. We're going to do, I want to see your capacity at fatigue for like some volume of handstand walking now.
Yeah. You know what I see with this one? I want to say it's the third event of semifinals this year with the Echo Bike, legless rope climb, box jump over, legless rope climb.
Yeah.
Which was, it was what, 6.5 rounds or something like that?
Yeah.
I see the same thing here.
Yep.
Where, all right, if you had slow rope climbs, you're going to have to make it up on the bike, but you can't really.
Right.
You can only go so fast on the box before it just becomes a hindrance. I see that. And then CrossFit, who usually has more clever comments about commentary and broadcast. JR loves aggressive time caps. 15 minutes. 12:09. Let's call it 30 seconds, and that's not a slow pace.
No.
You're on a 24 to 25 cal pace.
Yeah.
30 seconds, 40-foot handstand walk, 12 GHD. Like, it's still going to take 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So what? A fast round being 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
Times 6, that gets you 12.
Yep.
So 10 to 12 minutes at speed, not to mention fatigue, having to go unbroken, maybe failing, maybe having to start over or having a rest to be. That time cap is, we talked about that with Dave a lot, where he'll use time caps to control the pace of the event.
Now, he did say that he wanted the first, I think it was the first 4 events, 3 or 4 events, 4 events. He wanted to basically make sure that everyone was going to be able to do all the work.
Okay.
He said towards the end, people are going to get smashed. People are either not going to make the time cap, or they're not in his. We'll get to that. But what I think is great is he wants everyone to do all the work up until those other events. So I think this is a good time cap. I mean, again, look at the athletes that we have in there. I don't think it's overly aggressive. I think it's a solid. I think it's time frame.
Yeah, I think it's perfect as far as, I don't think it's making people go faster. It's making those that don't have it dialed in. Mm-hmm. Right. It's pressing those athletes.
Right. Yeah.
That aren't confident or capable on their hands. That's it.
Yeah.
Because you think it's like, all right, I'm going to rest 15 seconds because I'm going unbroken. I'm like, you don't have time for that.
Dude, you do that on 6 rounds?
All right, 6.
There's
okay,
2 minutes.
2 minutes gone.
Done.
gone because of your lack of confidence. And that goes fast. 10 to 15 seconds goes so fast in the middle of an event. But I'm excited to see who takes that one. Oops. Event 3, Pillgatory. A pill, I guess a pill is like this weird sandbag.
So it's think
like
of
a
it as
bag.
think of it as a kind of like a Dynamax covering. So it's fairly stiff, but one section of a worm.
Got it. Yeah.
So it's elongated.
Yeah.
And
Like a long
not thin,
sandbag.
but like it's your one-man worm, and that's what he went. This is one of the things I was talking about.
So it's not long; it's just a section fat.
No, it is. It's long and round. So like I'm gonna hold it on my shoulder here, and it's hanging off.
Okay. So
it's my one worm piece.
Got it.
Single person worm piece.
Got it.
And this is one of the things that where I was talking about that. Who else has this in their gym? Nobody.
No.
You know what I mean? And so this is where I'm talking about like the gamesy type stuff, where it's not that it has to be outlandish, but it's something that you now are going to have to adapt on.
Yeah.
You're going to have to use your fitness to adapt. You're not going to be able to come to me like, oh yeah, it's thrusters and chest to bar and back rack lunges. And you got to do it with this weird pill thing, which just makes it.
Yeah, because the thruster's just going from one shoulder to the other shoulder.
Yep, that's all it is.
At a worm section. 50 chest to bar pull-ups, 50 meter pill lunge, back to the chest bar, and then back to the thrusters.
Yeah.
I like this one.
This is a. I mean, how many times do we say that they always have to have like a Franish type event?
Oh yeah,
in there, and it is that. You have, I think really the lunge is going to be the active recovery because it's the back half, the 100%. It's the back half.
Yeah.
Colton said some crazy thing. He said he's going to do the entire thing unbroken.
I believe him. He said that same shit at semifinals a couple years ago at the Granite Games, which was like a snatch chest to bar one.
Yeah.
And I was like, no way. And son of a bitch.
I mean, dude, the second round of 50 chest to bar pull-ups.
Yeah, I think 55 is the most consecutive I've ever done with chest to bars. I was doing
different than regular pull-ups.
I was doing nothing after that was over. The only thing I did was not fall off the pull-up bar, and then I took a week before I could open my hands again, let alone come back and do that.
Yeah. I think this one will be so fun to watch. It will I think it will be like watching a high speed auto crash.
Oh yeah. Especially the way it's set up on the floor.
Oh man.
I can only assume. Because Jared does a good job of that too. He makes the floor in a way that you can follow the action.
Right. He'll make a move
at a major competition.
Yeah, he'll make a move, whatever. It's like every 10 reps or whatever he wants them to do it. But this one is so evil. It's so bad.
Sammy, Pop of the Tops pod. I haven't figured out the timings for UK viewers yet. I feel like if you just go on your YouTube channel and see the events lined up on the Sevan Podcast, it just converts the time for you.
I thought it did too. Yeah.
It just tell you on the YouTube channel.
And then look at the time cap on this.
18.
Forcing everyone to do all of the thrusters and all of the pull-ups and all of the lunges. So everyone gets this bruise before they get into the rest of the competition.
I think with, again, top 5 in mind, you're going to have, as you said, a lot of great races here.
Yeah.
In back and forth. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see that one. And this is just, yes, you got a pill, which is a different object, but this is just classic CrossFit stuff. Right?
No, it's just a little tweak.
Right.
Just a little tweak. Like when we had to do all the different versions of Franz, like in the open, like even, a decade ago, it was just a tweak. It wasn't 95-65. It was 170. It was like, God dang, that like 5 pounds, it made a difference. And now with this thing, Yeah, everyone can do thrusters at that weight.
Mhm.
Everyone can do thrusters. That is, they can do all of those reps.
I
That's
just
just
think
how good
about
they
I just
are.
think about Jackie doing 40 or 50 thrusters with an empty barbell
Yeah,
and how not easy that becomes because of, I mean, you're obviously coming off a 1,000-meter row,
right.
but how not easy that becomes, and it's just 50.
Yeah.
So
I just it'll be interesting to see. One of the things I've seen a lot of athletes do is they get very I don't know if routine is the right word. They get very, very good at the things that they do, but they don't normally stray from the things that they do.
I know what you're talking about. I did
Um,
that. Like I got really good at doing sets of 5s of chest to bars anytime I wanted.
yeah,
And then you put me in a position where I have to start doing like 15s
yeah,
or opening with bigger sets because me pacing it out by 5s will not work against the guy who can go 25,
right,
27 or something
right.
like that.
Yeah, it's like if the second you have to change what you are used to,
Mhm.
then it throws a lot of the competitors. And we talked about that also. That's one of the things I'm interested to see is, I mean, everyone is fit that's there. I mean, granted, some will be more fit than others, but what will be interesting is the athleticism element of it. Like who is able to use their fitness and not even get remotely
Yeah.
like knocked by it because it's this weird thing I got to put over my head this way. I'm an individual athlete. I don't do that crap.
Mhm.
I do it in the front rack,
Right.
so it'll be interesting to watch how that unfolds with different athletes, who gets frustrated, why they get frustrated.
Well, speaking of frustrated, event 4, Lineman's Fright. 6 deficit strict handstand push-ups at 9 inches for the men, 5 inches for the women, and then a 30-meter sled drive empty on that flip sled. And apparently like that flip sled, you can put it in a position like a challenging, I don't know.
So the standard is
4 rounds for time.
think of it like the pig.
Yeah.
How does everyone hold the pig? They always hold it with it's sitting on the hand, so the hands are down.
Right.
This one you have the rails, so there's 2 rails. You have to hold it at the top, so you have to hold it in the front rack position.
Mhm.
That's where you drive it from.
Okay.
And you have to hold it like this.
Oh.
So now, depending on the angle that you want to drive that sled, you're either going to be leaning down or trying to find that right angle. And it's got the little skid marks on the corner. So like as you lift up the sled, you can kind of drive it like that.
Yeah.
But you have to hold it in that position. So you're in this position. So you are like your shoulders for this entire event
Mhm.
are like compressed, which is nuts.
Well, and also to note, there's a at the 0-minute mark designation for this. And this is where the time caps. Listen, if you got strict handstand push-ups like this, no problem.
Yep.
You're like, all right, I'm just going to see how fast I can go. If you have any chink in your armor with a strict deficit, it's over.
Right.
You don't have a chance.
And this is where
guys around it, like you just get to sit there. And I know you said it's like not get frustrated by something. It's like, yep, now you can just sit there and bask in the lack of overhead pressing stability and stamina.
well, and then again, go back to the scoring on this. It's performance based.
Oh.
So if you get buried, you don't just go like, okay, well, I didn't do well. You get buried in points.
And vice versa.
Yep.
This could be an opportunity if you have this skill to get yourself back in the game if you're behind up to this point.
And like this one, I think the spread will be, I think, pretty drastic with the field here. I mean, especially on the women's side. And if I'm not like the math whiz necessarily, but the way that's set up is you have to see kind of where the average is to find out what your point spread is going to look like in that particular event. Whereas if it's something you get closer to the next event, I don't think you're going to have the same sort of spread.
All right. Okay. So going into the next portion of this, right? You start at the 0-minute mark. Lineman's fright, lineman being an offensive lineman, pushing his sled,
Yep.
being inverted, to like where I'm like, all right, I'm back in the game. Cyclist light at the 10-minute mark. So 8-minute cap, 2-minute break. If you're done before, you get more rest. 20 or 18 cals on the bike erg, and then 40 drag rope double unders, which is just a send to the end.
Yeah.
Not so much where you can't bound or walk in the first round, but there is like, you're going to have to, whatever line that is. And these events have been released early enough for people to hopefully figure that out. And you have to sit there in the most perfect sliver of red line.
Yeah.
That you don't, like 30 cal per hour pace more, and the wheels come off immediately. You got to find that place. Everyone's going to be able to bike. Everyone's going to be able to do the drag rope. Drag rope is a pretty common, not common, but like a consistent movement that JR likes.
Well, you're seeing them in a lot of events now. I mean, they're being pulled out.
Yeah, they've been everywhere. I mean, shoot, they were at the 2020 games. They were there.
Yeah.
Online version. This is the opposite of what we just did. Is like, yes, there's nothing high skilled about this. You just have to go as hard as you can without screwing that intensity up.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just the back to back on this. It reminds me of what was it, Pedal to the Metal? Was that the pegboard?
Yes.
So where everyone and think of like Margot Alvarez.
Right.
Did like what, 1, 2 pegboards and then sat there because she knew that's all she needed to do compared to everyone else, and just rested until she got to the Echo bike on the second part and just hammered.
Right.
And you with normal scoring, that is a valid strategy. But without that normal like if that is the case, that you do that on the first part, hoping that you're going to be able to make it all up. Like you can't make up. I think the field is going to be relatively close on this one compared to the other one. So that point spread,
especially if you spit the
apples to
bit
apples,
on event 4, you're like, well, damn, now I really gotta go for it.
Yep.
You're gonna see some people gamble. You're gonna see some people fail because and it's the 4-round thing. Dude, if it was 5 rounds, you're like, okay. Pacing. If it was 3 rounds, like, oh, that's going to suck. That 3rd round will be very uncomfortable. But
it will be done quick.
Or you're like, damn it.
Yep.
Which I like. And Cyclist Delight, and obviously it's the name.
It was, JR made a point on this one. He's like, I think if you see someone that is able to do well on both of these, they should be on the podium at the end of the competition.
Oh.
And JR was like, no way. What? There's no way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who said that?
Right. John said that.
Oh, I thought you said JR said that.
No, JR said that JR said that he could see that. And I go, okay. What I had to explain to John was not that it's this is what he's doing is he's taking 2 completely opposite events. And if you have the capacity in both of those things that are on the opposite ends of the spectrum, then your foundation of your fitness is probably a little bit more broad than some of the other athletes that are out there. So you're probably you've got some power, obviously. You've got some strength, especially for the overhead stuff in the gymnastic. You got that. So you have a lot of things.
And the sled.
So is it an absolute? No. But could you kind of go, well, yeah. Okay. Cause they don't have a hole, because look at Olivia. And this is event 4 is the event. I mean, John was like, that's the event that, like, okay, depending where she goes, will show how far off the podium she is.
Yeah.
Where she would do great on all these events, and that one, it's going to be like, and now you're done.
Okay. I'm going to bring in the same statement in a little bit, and then we'll bounce back and forth on that.
Yeah.
This, let me see this question. I was thinking about this. CrossFit said, if you punt on event 4, which is the strict deficit handstand push-up, you probably punt on midline too. Not necessarily, because yes, it's inverted gymnastics, but a walk and a strict deficit handstand push-up, different worlds.
Totally, 100%.
Like, look at Laura Horvath.
100%. Jeez, oh man, that's a perfect example.
Right? I know she has her thing, like that she just is not good at, but she's fine on her hands on a handstand walk. She set one of the fastest times in the world on the row handstand walk one.
And Olivia was the same way. Olivia was exactly the same way.
Exactly, right? So like an inverted pressing at a deficit is such a different gymnastics test than a handstand walk under fatigue. Now, will there be some that have both? Absolutely. Yeah. If you're terrible inverted, sure. But strict handstand push-ups and now deficit, like it's not I don't even put them in the same. I mean, they are in the same category as far as gymnastics, but I don't put them in the same category.
Yeah.
All right, event 6. Now, this one, Mad Moon, this is a monster. 5 rounds for time, 600-meter run, 15 burpee get-overs, a yoke set at 40-inch height for the men, 34 height for the women, and then 5, 7, 9, 11, 13 of ascending reps per round of deadlifts at 365 and 245. Mm-hmm. Which, when you look at this, my WMG triplet itch OCD is getting scratched beautifully. I've got the run, I've got the gymnastics with the burpees, and then I've got the weightlifting, the ascending reps of the deadlifts, which are going to be monstrous, the weight on that bar, and the toughness of the distance, 3,000 meters total distance of running.
Yeah, it's crazy.
75 burpee get-overs. And what's the total rep scheme here? Is it 35? No. 45?
45.
Yeah, 45 deadlifts. 45 deadlifts at 365 pounds in ascending reps. Mm-hmm. When I look at this, I would say, if I didn't know the other events, whoever wins this is probably the fittest person here. You can run, you can lift for reps, and your gymnastic capacity isn't getting tested in a skill-wise, which is where I have a little caveat here, is that if this were strict deficit handstand push-ups, in ascending reps, the person who wins this is the fittest person here. Right?
Yeah, because you had that skill element.
You have the distance, you have the skill and the strength in gymnastics, but since it's burpee, because we have a handstand walk crux event, because we have ring muscle-ups in the first one, because we have strict deficit handstand push-ups, I'm not exactly going to say that because there's no high-skilled gymnastics in here to throw people off, but you've got all your other boxes checked. You are a fit individual. If you win this, you may not be the winner overall at the end of the weekend if you win this. Because of that lack of high skill on the gymnastics. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying
no.
It's in other places, which is why it's not here.
Yeah. This is a bear of an event. It's very similar to what the Masters had at the games this year. With their run and the deadlift, same sort of thing.
I was talking to him when he saw that event get released, and he's like, God damn it.
I know. So we were talking, one of the battles that me and John were having is between like Taylor and Chris Ibarra. He said Chris has a 600-pound deadlift, which is fucking massive. I would have never expected that. Deadlift's such a weird lift. Yeah. And he's an endurance athlete. And he did great in the semifinal event with the run-in and the clean and jerks. Mm-hmm. We know the way that Taylor can run. We know his like grit level.
Right.
I mean, I think that it really comes down to the last 2 rounds, that 11 and 13 on the deadlift. Mm-hmm. To where someone, you don't need, I don't think you need to have a 600-pound deadlift to do well in this event. Like, I'm good at repping weight, but there are many people that can out deadlift me on a 1 rep.
Yeah.
But I'll hold on to the goddamn bar. I've done that.
I won't.
I remember that worked for me at the games when 2015, that was the last event. I think it was 365 or 345 for 9 reps. Oof. And I did it unbroken. and I passed like 4 people just doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if you can hang on to it, I think you're going to do really well. But I think that there's a lot of time that can be made up on the run and on the burpees over the course of 5 rounds to where you don't need to go unbroken on the deadlifts. And I don't know if you can make up that much time on the deadlifts. I mean, 11 reps, even if you take a break at 6 and 5 in there, like 8 seconds, like you can't make up 8 seconds on 600 meters and 15 burpees.
Do you feel like the top 5 will all be closer on the deadlifts than the run? Because I agree to a certain extent. Obviously, I look at this through a bit of my own lens as an athlete.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could run the fastest 600s and burpees all day, and I would still lose this event by 10 minutes. I'm doing like sets of 3, maybe, because that weight's too heavy. But when you look at the top 5, like I figured all of them will be similar deadlift rep capacity at this weight. Some will be much better than others, even if they can go unbroken the whole way through. I don't see anybody else with any top 5 potential here breaking up more than once or twice for maybe 10 to 15 seconds in total.
It's hard to say.
A 600-meter run, that's not that easy to make up. Ooh.
Okay, but
if
again,
negligible, no one's going to be, unless they're doing the pout burpee over.
Right. Right. Are you bouncing? I mean, dude, like that.
I think there's more potential in other places here, well-roundedness than we may think.
I think that, yeah. I mean,
are you an inside? Are you a tester? The 600 is closer to 750. If that's the case.
Oh my God.
I'll take it back.
Jeez. Well, okay. So I see, take someone like Colton.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Colton can run, but I wouldn't put him with Taylor and with Chris Ibarra. But with his range of motion and his strength, he's gonna those deadlifts are unbroken.
Yeah.
Does he need to win the run? No, because I think some of the other athletes are gonna be. He's just got to hang through the 5, 7, 9. You know what I mean? Because he's got to hang there because he doesn't want the runners to get too far away. Because those first 3 rounds are where the runners, the endurance the more endurance athletes, that's where they got to make their clip. They have to push those 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Because if they aren't able, or if they're going to take breaks. And deadlifts are hard, man. It's hard to like step away from the bar and take a breath and get right back on it if you're blown out.
And to come back to that, and it's a C70 bar.
Yeah,
it's a short bar.
There's no bend on
that. 365 and 245 is going to feel more like 430.
Right.
Because that ball, nothing is moving.
Now, I do think
the bar will not help you.
I do think for the women, I think the weight on the deadlift is light.
Really?
Yeah, I think it should have been more like 275. Like that's actually less than the normal like 70% number. And when I asked him about that, he said, well, he's like, I figured that on the run and the burpees, the women would be a little bit slower. And so I lightened the load on the deadlift so it would keep them more at a similar time pace.
Okay.
Than with the men.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, dude, I remember talking to, so I had an athlete, Tammy Saunders at the games, and she did the run deadlift for the Masters. And her and all of the athletes that I talked to, those last 2 rounds of deadlifts.
Because there's what, 5, 10, 15, 20?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, granted, the weight was different for them than it was for these athletes. But still, when you are when you're forced to hold on to that, this is the thing, if you're not used to that, and now you have to, then it's like, ooh, that hurts.
Yeah.
So
if the runs are closer to what a couple of people are saying, like 700 to 750, then that does change.
Yeah.
Like now you can really separate here.
Dude, and I love the fact that this is a long event. If you're in an affiliate gym local throwdown, you don't normally get a 24-minute cap like that.
And it's great to have.
Yeah.
Which is great when you have a smaller quality competition. You don't have to put 560 athletes through a 30-minute time capped event.
Yeah.
All right. I like this one. I would be curious to see the relationship between the 4-5 finish and this finish.
We'll watch it.
Relative to the top 10 at the end of the weekend.
Yeah, we'll watch it for you.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'm going to hop on a couple shows.
You should.
All right. Final one. Thick and thin. 6 or 4 legless rope climbs with a 1.5-inch diameter. So your regular rope. 12 overhead squats at 205 and 145 with a C70 bar. Then 6-4 regular rope climbs at a 2-inch thick rope. And then 12 overhead squats at 185 and 125 with an axle bar. This just being 6-4 and 12, 6-4 and 12, thin, thick. We saw it like thick and quick at the CrossFit Games. We saw it at the soccer chipper at the CrossFit Games. So they had 2 different thickness ropes. At the soccer chipper, they did legless the whole time. And then at thick and quick, it was just regular rope climbs.
Yeah.
Well, I think the ropes were just thick for the thick and quick one. Because there's what, 4 thick rope climbs and 3 overhead squats.
Right.
4. I can't remember the order there. But I do know in the soccer chipper where it had a rope, it was thick and thin down and back with the pig. But I love this because I love rope climbs and overhead squats.
I know, totally.
Yeah, the weight is cool and the rep scheme is just enough. And we've talked about this long enough. You guys been listening to us for long enough. Is that one of the classic benchmark challenges on .com was 15 overhead squats at body weight to see if you could do that. And then 10 years ago, was it 10? I don't want to say it was 10 years. 8 years ago, Dave put a 1.5 times body weight challenge out there that some athletes did. So 205 and 145, that's at or above most of the athletes' body weight at 12 reps. So that's not easy. And what you're going to feel like coming off 6 or 4 legless rope climbs going into that, back to the rope and then to the axle bar. I like this.
I think it's awesome. I like that he has legless first.
Yes.
So that there isn't an issue of being fatigued going into legless. Like let him race at full at a full tank on the legless there and let him get into it. The overhead squat, the weight is it's just enough. It literally is just enough.
Mm-hmm.
Because there will be a handful of athletes that will want to snatch to race it.
Yeah.
There will be, and I would suggest for athletes to do more of a wide grip because that's not heavy for these guys. A wide grip, clean and jerk, so that it gets into position.
Right.
Rather than like taking, the thing is like you may be 2 seconds faster because you're snatching it, but if you miss it, you're now 10 seconds behind.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not worth it. That second set with the thick rope, I don't think that that's really a big deal. It will make the foot lock feel a little bit different just because of the weight on the rope and the way that it bends. So again, it'll be a little bit different. And if you're not used to that could throw some athletes. But I think totally. Well, and again, legless is using your arms and your grip. If you're doing a regular, and the thick rope isn't legless anymore, it's just a regular rope.
Right. Yeah.
You should be able to give a little bit of a reprieve to your grip because it should be more of a foot thing and a leg thing. Your hands are just kind of holding on,
right?
Which you need to be smart about because going to the axle bar, guys, it won't be that bad. The bigger hands, it's usually not bad. Right. Even if you do it with a switch grip and you kind of get it to the front rack and then go overhead. The women, that will be a tough one to do.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that there are a lot of ladies that have worked with the axle bar. And if they have, it's usually like which I never really understood, like a lighter weight thruster, like a 135/95 on an axle bar, to me is just dumb. That's like, I get what you're trying to do. okay, normally the wheels would spin and now it's the whole bar, but like it's not that big of a deal. This is a decent enough weight that now you're going to have to continental carry it up. You're going to have to figure out how to switch grip to clean it into that position, to get it up overhead, to get it wide. And I think that there might be some women that get stuck on that just because of the awkwardness of it. But dude, this is fast. Like if you are slow on your rope climbs, you're dusted.
Which I think adds a fun element to this is because, I mean, some people's like, oh, Taylor's going to kill this. I'm like, yeah, he can, unless he goes too fast.
Right. And then he can't.
Because yes, I know the second round of rope climbs, even though you're using your legs, this is just a foot lock and legs and your hands are long for the ride. Hands still get fatigued on regular rope climbs anyways, but now your foot lock isn't as strong as it might have been on a thinner rope where you can really lock in and squeeze. And your hands are going to be smoked from the legless.
And your hands are over your head the whole time. You have no blood in your hands.
Barbell the whole time over your head.
Yeah.
And now you got to come here, do it again.
Yeah.
And then go back to an axle bar. There is a lot of room for just something out of your fitness control if you can't control your grip on the second round of climbs and handle that axle bar appropriately.
Yeah, there is a lot of execution elements on this. Like how soon do you decide to go back up on that rope? And the thing is that like you could have a good pace that would allow you to execute perfectly. But the problem is that if you get behind on the rope, like it's really hard to make up time on rope climbs. Like if you get behind, you got behind for a reason. And if you got behind for a reason, you're not making that up.
Right.
Like you're done.
Yeah. I think this is.
I liked it a lot. This looks super fun.
I think this is more your Fran test than the pill one. I know it's thrusters.
Oh yeah.
On that one, but this is as far as intensity and movement patterns, pulling, squatting in that overhead position.
Yeah.
This will be good. This will be good because if it's a tight race, you can't just be like, all right, one climb every 15 seconds and shake it out. Like, no, I got to make moves. And coming back to the scoring system, which we'll talk about here in a second, is there's so much incentive to knock one out of the park if you're behind or to not punt one in the stands if you're in the lead because you get rewarded for that.
Yeah.
And
I think I do. It ups the gamble for the athletes because of what the scoring system is. Just because of what you said, like, I mean, everyone all the athletes know how to ride the line, ride that red line just enough.
Right.
But now based on the way that the scoring is, like, you can't just draft off of someone. No. You either got to pass them or die trying. You know, like trying to mitigate that loss or that gain. It is, and I don't know how many will actually think about that when they're in. I mean, they're just going to do what they do, but the way the numbers will come out, it's like, okay, if you are in fourth place and you want to get on the podium, you're going to have to roll the dice, not just to roll the dice for yourself, but compared to everyone else. Like you're going to have to smash people,
which I like.
Yeah,
I like. It's like, oh well, I'm the most I can get is 15 points here, and I'm down by 20, so I'm not going to win.
Yep.
It's like, and it does always strike me as a puzzling thing, and we've talked about scoring systems throughout the years of the CrossFit Games and how they've changed, and some were just atrocious, and now it's familiar, but I wouldn't say it's perfect by any means. I mean, there is no perfect system, but in the world of CrossFit, where it's a performance-based strength and conditioning program, where you can measure your power output and you can get quantifiable results based off your performance, that we don't use a performance-based scoring system.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I like having it here as a test run because then you can start poking holes and fixing those. But
let me ask you this then: if we are so big within CrossFit to denounce the specialist? Are
Mhm.
you getting scored better because you are a specialist in that event, or not a specialist in that event? Like if you're a home run hitter and you get extra points, you're a specialist. So are you being rewarded because you're a specialist? And does that play to the definition of what we try to do?
I would say, I mean, the reason why we started this programming is or show is because the programming.
Right.
I think that would put even more of an emphasis on the programming being up to snuff, depending on the number of events you have. And we say this when it's just a gymnastics test biased event only, regardless of the scoring system, is at the CrossFit Games, if you have one event of each modality that can highlight a specialist, I don't hate it as long as the other it's balanced within the other three modalities, and the rest of the programming is balanced in terms of biases and not biases. There's I guess that is the crux of performance-based scoring.
Right.
You do highlight the specialists. Which is, I mean, but there's none of that here. It's all mixed modal. There's
no, totally. The programming itself is good. And again, this is just kind of just spitballing stuff around, trying to play with it. But like, if the programming is balanced, let's say you take the absolute best event that we've ever analyzed, perfect one, and we now put it on a P-score. The program we know is a balanced test. So if it's a balanced test, should you get scored better for your specific individual specialties against the field when everything should be equal?
I only look at individual specialties if it's a single modality event. Not, I'm just really good at this one. I feel like if you're really good at this one, that is a good for you. Make the most of it.
So if it was a rowing wall ball event and you went in and smashed it, and I went in and just kind of fumbled the ball around a bunch, even though the overall events that we did was perfectly balanced, then
yes, because if it's balanced on both, if there's a deadlift, handstand, push-up workout later,
okay,
and I also get buried because of my deficiencies, right? I think we're looking at it the wrong side a little bit. We're looking at who's doing well. It's like, no, why are you doing bad?
Okay.
Right? Like, I'm not going to win the row wall ball one just because I'm 6'2", 215. I'll be better suited for it, but I still need to go win it. And if I win it and some, I believe I should get rewarded for that. For the same reason, if we do Damn Diane and this dude over here with great deadlifts and unbroken handstand push-ups, and maybe he has an advantage because they're shorter is great, but did he beat me by 3 minutes because they're smaller than me, or did he beat me by 3 minutes because I suck at handstand push-ups?
Yeah. I get it.
But to your point, is like, it does need to have balance. But I only fear P-score or Z-score or any of those performance-based scoring systems when you look at an isolated single modality test. Because then you're like, well, of course the gymnast is going to win because we're doing a handstand walk obstacle course that only 3 people that can
like a handstand hold.
Exactly, right? And of course, the strength person's going to win because they're doing a 1 rep max deadlift.
Right.
Of course, the distance runner's going to win because they're doing a 10K run.
Okay. All right. So let's say you have it in a game scenario where you have your single modality gymnastic, your single modality lift, your single modality endurance element.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have your other 4 events of basic CrossFit.
Right.
And you're going to be good on your one event and you just suck ass on the other ones, but you do okay on like the CrossFit-y stuff.
Yeah.
Are you being over penalized now? Because like, let's say it's the deficit handstand push-up. So I am great at handstand walks, but I am shitty at deficit handstand push-ups. I get buried. So I get not only last, but I'm so far beyond what the middle is that like I lose
I feel like you don't
Whatever
lose
point.
as much on the negative side in the scoring system.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because the P score is supposed to take the average, right? And then you
It's
that's
like
where you
the
set your
median.
bell curve.
It's either or like the place finish, like who's in. No, I think it's before. Yeah, what you would do is like you'd set what's the average score, median score? I think median is middle, so that's not the right word. Average score of the group and how far below or above.
Yeah.
But remember, like your shitty score is pulling the average down too.
Okay, that's true. Now you guys have to remember that I come from like, look, as long as I win, I win. Like, just give me my point and I win.
Right.
So, and I'm fine with that. But I love the talk about this because we always talk about the scoring. It's like we want to know that the scoring should give the truest result of whatever it is that we're trying to find. So whether that's 1 point for first, 2 points for second, you go by who has the lowest points, or if it's 100 and you go down by 5, then you go down by 3. I never really understood that one, that as it got towards it, but whatever. Or even this one, like I'm really interested to see, especially in like Olivia's case, what is that deficit handstand push-up going to do to all the other events that she's going to do really well in?
Yeah.
And is it also going to be that like, okay, I've got 5 top 3 finishes or top 2 finishes. I have one that's like top 10 and the other one I was whatever.
Yeah.
30th. You know what? And I just get smoked now because of one event. It's like,
no, because like, what if you get 30th, but it's just your place finish, but you're only 30 seconds are between you and 15 other people.
Yeah.
In the other scoring system, you get more screwed because it's just points dropping. Here, it's like, oh, we're all 0.2 points away from each other.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always a fun talk. I like to talk.
Yeah, and that's a good roundtable.
Yeah.
450 of you guys. Holy crap.
Hi, guys.
Hi, guys. Hit that. Go hit that subscribe button for us. It just helps us. Just boop.
And give us some thumbs.
Give us a thumbs. Hit that subscribe. Before we close out, part of the competition outside P Score and the events and the live stream that will be on the Sevan Podcast with Bill Grundler and John. The Heat 1 app is ready and waiting for you guys to take on the Crash Crucible. You guys can pick. Is it a pick 'em?
They have all of it. Yeah.
All of it. It's all on there.
Yep. They have the pick. They have the your flex ad. They have I know that Tyler's doing, and I think we actually came up with a couple.
There's some prop bets.
The prop bets, yeah.
Prop bets. So if you guys haven't done it, go to your apps on your phone, download the Heat 1 app, play Crash. You get to play things like the Rogue Invitational, Dubai CrossFit or Fitness Championship, Wadapalooza, semifinals games. It is the most fun you could have on the side in a fantasy CrossFit Games style app. And it's so well done. Tyler did an incredible job, him and his team, building out this thing. So
good.
Download it. It's just the Heat 1 app. Play along all weekend. The more you play, the better it is for Tyler. It's free for you to do. You just play for free, but the more of you guys that play along, the better it is for Tyler in the Heat 1 app, just by you guys being engaged and on it. So join us. We'll be playing while Bill's broadcasting, which means he'll forget to do his lineup after the first event. And then
I'm going to try to get all mine in before I go there, because you're right, I will.
That's usually what happens. But yes, please go download the Heat 1 app. They're on Instagram, just the Heat 1 app. I'll put this in the chat here for you guys that are rolling with us on YouTube right now. So just click that, follow them on Instagram, and go check them out. Look at that face that John's making.
Dude, I know.
It's great. Okay, before we bail, you want to make some predictions here? Did you guys do a podium pick in the last preview show?
I don't think we did a full podium.
Okay.
I don't remember if we did or not.
All right, going down the men's list. Now, if I don't know you, I'm sorry. But, you got to earn it. You've got, the ones that jump off the page for the men, Chris Ibarra, Colton Mertens. I've heard Drake Lewis in there. Matthias Porter, I'll say your name because I think your dad swims with my mom
No
in
way.
Texas. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
She was like, "Do you know this Porter?" I was like, "No." And he was competing at the Central East, and she's like, "That's him." So I think his parents or mom or dad, I can't remember which one, are on my mom's master's swim team.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, I'll cheer for you.
That's
You got
crazy.
Nick Matthew.
Nick
Sam
Matthews in
Stewart,
there.
is he coming all the way over? Is he just coming over with Pedro?
He's coming in his backpack.
Yeah. Are they taking that wooden ship for Ireland? Did they leave 2 weeks ago to make their way?
He's been podcasting in the galley.
They put planes together.
Yeah.
Taylor Self, obviously. But with this programming, the big thing here is everyone's like, all right, Taylor or Colton. Because they've been going at it on Kill Taylor forever, and Colton's just been taking money away from him. Although I don't think Taylor actually ever gets it, just other people do.
Right.
I forget, like Taylor doesn't get paid.
I know.
It just goes into a pot until somebody beats him and they get to take all the money. So whenever Taylor wins, he doesn't get money.
No, well, it just builds for the next week. Yeah.
So
I think it'll be I mean, you obviously have to look at, like, I would say your top 4 with Taylor and Colton and Chris and Nick.
Yeah.
I think those are going to be.
I'm curious with Nick because he has those little skills and party tricks and he's super strong.
Yeah. It will be interesting to see like where his capacity is. I think there are going to be some events that he's going to smash.
Yeah.
But then there's going to be some other ones like even like the first one. Like, how hard is he going to come out?
Yeah. Because the dumbbell non-issue. It's just like, did you screw up your intensity piece?
Right. And so that, and I think that, especially with some of the longer ones, and I don't mean the 24-minute one. I mean, like, if you're talking like a 15-minute, somewhere in there, it's like, you can mess that up. You can win the first 2 minutes and then be last.
Yeah.
And I think that he has a tendency of coming out hot. So it's possible.
I would be curious where his work, his like overall like capacity for, like you said, the 12, 15 plus is. Because we know the short, strong, high skill ones he's decent at.
Totally. I think that training wise, I think that Colton and Taylor are going to be higher than where Chris Ibarra is. Because I think we talked about this, me and John were talking about this, that Chris went to the games.
Yeah.
Chris took his break after the games.
True.
Colton missed going to the games. Taylor missed going to the games.
Yeah.
Colton saw the games and was training through the games. So Colton has a good 2 months of like solid, like, and those guys, I don't see them. I don't see those two athletes as I'm trying to peak for. They're like the ever ready state. Like when, Taylor's, I mean, he's traveling around and all of a sudden he's doing workouts, racing people in his hotel room.
True.
And Colton is just like always ready to go. It's like, what's the event? Oh, I need to do the NCC. Hey, Souza, we're going to come to your place. I need to do the qualifiers for the, I'm just going to do it. Like, he's always ready. So I think those guys are more ready, fit ready than maybe Ibarra. And it'll be interesting to see if his youth and his foundation will be able to kind of carry him through it. I think those guys will be interesting to watch.
I think in the scoring system that we have, Mertens has a higher potential of home runs.
Yeah.
To separate himself from Taylor and Chris.
Yeah.
Taylor does as well. I just think Colton has more of them.
Oh, I agree with that. But that's what I think. I think Taylor will be right. Like, I don't see him home run hitting, but I don't see him failing either.
No, I think he's gonna be great in on event 1.
Yeah.
With the dumbbell snatch and muscle ups. Handstand walk. Ooh. Kind of a push. That might actually favor a bit more of Nick.
Right.
If he keeps his pace at a level that he can sustain. I don't know. Pillgatory, I feel like Colton. I mean,
That's
like
gonna be- that's
Taylor's
gonna
going
be
to do well. Chris is going to do well, but like I
That's
just
all
feel
Colton.
Colton's just
I
going to
mean,
do.
they could have just named it.
That's a home run opportunity for him.
100%.
The handstand push-up one is another opportunity for Colton.
Yep.
And then on the back end with the bike, I think is an opportunity for Taylor.
Yeah.
And then the run, deadlift one.
Let me ask you this. Like, I mean, you have a bike rig at your house, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so I know the power output differences that you can get between athletes on like the Echo bike.
Right.
Do you get the same? Like, I don't think you get the same amount of difference on a biker, do you?
You can, yeah.
It's the same
But
amount?
it's not an exponential thing. So like on the Aerodyne or Assault bike or Echo bike, like it's a steeper curve of input.
It's a very steep curve. Yeah.
On this Concept 2 bike, it's like the rower, right?
Okay.
It's the same like pace advantage. Like, yeah, if you're rolling at 16 to 1800 cals an hour, but the difference there is how are you doing it with your damper setting?
Are
you
I was gonna say because I mean like since it's a bike,
Yeah.
the more set up like a bike.
Yeah.
It just seems like your available area to put power into it is so limited. You know, you don't have the handles that you're pushing.
Yeah,
You don't,
it's like input output, right?
Right.
Input output, and it's straight to the legs. It's like, yeah, could you hold 1800 plus at a level 8? Sure. Well,
Yeah.
but the amount of sludge you're basically biking through at that high versus
Right.
up to a 5 or 6 and just spinning your legs.
Spinning it. Yeah.
Which I would say that's better because you're doing the bounding with the jump rope.
Right.
All right, my top 3. I'm going to go Colton, Taylor, Chris. Not to overthink it.
I think that's probably fair. And you have Nick at 4th, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I would sit.
But I think like we've had in the past at Crash, we're going to get some new faces and names.
Oh no, we definitely will. I think we'll have some surprises. I mean, and not that I could pick them, but the way the programming is set up and the scoring is set up, I think that will allow some of the athletes to showcase and be like, hey, I'm a person. You know, I wasn't just at semis. I'm actually decent. So I would say the same thing. I would go Colton. I would go Taylor. I would go Chris.
Women's side, some of the more known names. Brittany Weiss, Carolyn Stanley, Caroline Prevost. Faith Ferguson's been in the mix. Fisa Gaffi. Jessica Kalagian, Jordan Sheffs. That's how you say it. Not Sibek. Sizwick. Jordan Sheffs. Kyra Milligan, Lydia Fish, who, like we said, is like people making names for themselves that you didn't really hear of after Crash. Like Lydia Fish almost won last year at Crash and lost by 1.2 points because of a snatch. She got 19th on the snatch, but she got top 5 in 5 other the events.
Yeah.
So I have her in my top 3. Actually, I picked her to win.
Wow.
I did. But that was on Pedro's show, and I just wanted some drama. I'm going to put Fish in my podium. I'm going to put Olivia in my podium. And I mean, there's the deadlift ones. I don't know who else I'm going to put in there. You know what? I'm going to go really off the wall here. I'm going to go Fish, Kerstetter, and Chef.
Okay.
Chef, she's on the cusp of making the CrossFit Games if she can figure out 1 or 2 events at semifinals that just gets her right on the edge of missing by 2 to 3 spots. I think this programming gives her an opportunity to maybe dodge some of those landmines that happens at semifinals for her. So I'm going way off the reservation with that.
Okay, that's fair. I will go Kyra Milligan,
Okay.
Carolyn Prevost, and then I think I'm gonna do Stanley.
Oh,
Carolyn
Stanley.
Stanley. Yeah, as a third. And I was battling between like her and actually who I'm excited to watch compete just because of how she did at the NCC and kind of some of the events that are there. Wishart.
Yep.
So she won the NCC. Firefighting background, so there's a lot of like rope pulling, and she's a taller athlete, not real heavy, but has a lot of pulling power.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that there'll be some of these events I think that she'll do really well. So I could see her in that like 4th, 5th spot, and I think Olivia will be in there, but because of the handstand, I think she's gonna be off the podium.
Yeah, it depends.
Yeah.
Good.
But then, but yeah, it's dude, it's so much harder to pick it.
Oh yeah.
with the scoring system, because it's like, man, well, how bad are they going to do? How good are they going to do?
Mm-hmm. I think Olivia will do well in the first event.
Dude, she's going to do well in a lot of the events.
And yeah, I'd just be curious.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I went a little off the reservation on the women's side, but
yeah,
I would love to see some surprises there. All right. That'll do it. When do you leave?
I leave tomorrow.
Tomorrow. All right.
Yeah. So it'll be cool. I'll
safe travels with I know your travel is always terrible. Always. Maybe if we speak it into existence, it will be okay.
It will be okay.
And then with the hurricane coming through, who knows what that's going to do.
Exactly, dude. I have no idea. Hopefully this isn't the last time we're speaking. So
yeah,
oh, man.
But thank you guys for joining the show. If you guys are watching with us right now, we really appreciate you guys being here. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Just like it, subscribe to it. It does wonders for us as far as reach and engagement. It helps us do more things like this for you guys. We'll analyze the programming. We'll get JR on the show to retread this. Obviously, we just went through what the events were, but then once we see it in action, then we get to go back and analyze how it went. Good luck to the athletes competing and all the guys that are in the path of the storm. We wish you all the best. Good luck. God bless. And Bill, safe travels.
Thanks, sir.
We'll see you guys. We'll see you on Friday.
See me on Friday.
Boom.